And of all the countries watching the talks between America and Iran about nuclear power, it could be argued that Israel has the most at stake. Of course, Washington has clearly stated that the talks have a deadline, but as yet they haven't said what will happen if that deadline passes without agreement. Well, one man who understands how this will be playing out domestically in Israel is the country's former ambassador to the UN, Dore Gold. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Mr. Gold. Well, just explain to us, just let us into how deep the suspicion is within Israel that Iran is enriching uranium for something other than peaceful domestic purposes.
Well, it's very clear that Iran does not need to have this massive uranium enrichment program, either the open program at Natanz or the newly revealed secret program near Qom. The Iranians have huge supplies of their own oil and gas, which could fuel their energy needs for many years. And beyond that, their own stocks of domestic uranium are very limited. They're not adequate for a energy program in Iran, but they are adequate for a nuclear weapons program, which is, I think, why many Israelis are concerned. This is not about energy. This is about nuclear weapons.
Sure. I mean, clearly Israel would feel a lot more comfortable, I know, without any enrichment program there going on in Iran. But if it can be verified that it is for the production of domestic electricity, could Israel live with that?
Well, I also remind you, many countries that have nuclear energy as a source of electricity, such as Spain or Sweden, find it much too expensive to have a uranium enrichment program of their own. They import their own enriched uranium. In fact, for the Iranian reactor in Bushehr, which is still under construction with Russian help, all the uranium is supposed to be supplied by the Russians. So there's really no need for this enrichment program that the Iranians are going forward with, except to have a nuclear weapons program.
And of course, coupled with some pretty public testing of missile technology, would Israel be prepared to act unilaterally on this if these talks don't come to a successful conclusion?
Well, I think in Israel today there's a recognition that this is not just an Israeli problem. Let's say advisors very close to the Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei, have said that Bahrain, which is an independent Arab kingdom in the Persian Gulf next to the Saudi oil fields, they say that that is a province of Iran. They said that in 2009. They are involved in the insurgency in Afghanistan, supporting the Taliban. They've been involved in southern Iraq, supporting Shiite militias there. They have threatened their neighbors. They actually sent a huge Hezbollah cell into Egypt to threaten the economic infrastructure of the Egyptian state. So since a nuclear Iran would provide such an enormous threat to basically the entire Middle East and even beyond, it's the Israeli assumption that the world has to mobilize and halt this program. There are now 5 UN Security Council resolutions which state that Iran must halt the enrichment of uranium immediately. They are on the books since 2006. So we're still hoping, even though it's 5 minutes to midnight on the Iranian bomb, we're still hoping that the international community acts with decisiveness. But Israel will know how to defend itself if it's necessary.
And that's the point I wanted to put to you. Without that diplomatic settlement, Israel could and reserves the right, presumably, to protect itself.
You know, I wouldn't want to go down, let's call it the Tom Clancy scenario of what will Israel do if the international community fails. We still have hope that the international community will move, but we also recognize that the Iranians are brilliant negotiators and they want to tie the UK, the US, and basically the permanent 5 members of the Security Council into endless negotiations while their centrifuges in the Natanz plant and perhaps in other plants are spinning, producing an ever larger stock of enriched uranium.
And just while you're with us, Mr. Gold, last question on the search for a settlement, the long search for a settlement with the Palestinians. This comment last week from the Israeli Foreign Minister, Avigdor Lieberman, saying that there's not really much hope of a settlement in the current discussions that are going on there, and that the world will have to learn to live with it.
Well, it would be certainly helpful if the Palestinian leader, Mahmoud Abbas, would agree to just sit down with Israel without prior conditions. But right now, not only is the Palestinian Authority, but also many people in the world are laying on preconditions to negotiations. That's not how we worked during the Oslo years after 1993. It's not how we worked around the time of the Camp David summit in the year 2000. So if the sides will sit down, they may not get to a full peace settlement, but they may be able to resolve at least part of this ongoing problem.
Okay, Mr. Gold, thank you very much indeed for your time. Dore Gold there,
My pleasure.
former Israeli ambassador to the United Nations. Now.